The story begins not in Chicago, but in Limerick. A young Irishman named Tommy Ryan watched as the black and tan stormed through his homeland. He saw violence, he saw resistance, he saw his mother beaten in her own farmhouse. He joined the flying column of Middle Limerick barely more than a boy, blowing bridges, blocking roads, fighting for an Ireland still being born. Captured, he was brought to Dublin to Kilmainham jail, where the leaders of the Easter Rising were executed, and then to the Curragh camp in County Kildare. For 10 months, he helped dig an escape tunnel with knives and forks. 200 men crawled to freedom, but the night Tommy was to go, the tunnel jammed. The game was up, he later said. Released after the Treaty of 1922, he did what so many Irish did. He left. He arrived in Chicago in 1926, a 22-year-old refugee from revolution, carrying a fiddle and a stubborn belief that Irish music must live. Within 4 years, he and fellow immigrants founded what would become the Shannon Rovers. They began as a fife and drum corps. By 1932, they took up the war pipes, instruments once outlawed in Ireland as weapons of war. And so, in Chicago, the pipes rose again. Through the Great Depression, their mission remained clear: to preserve Irish music and to help members in distress. They played dances, they raised funds, they built community. In 1933, they performed at the Chicago World's Fair. They played for Pope John Paul II, for presidents from Franklin D. Roosevelt onward. They essentially became the house band of Irish Chicago. In 1952, dismayed that St. Patrick's Day had gone uncelebrated for decades, Tommy organized a parade through his West Side neighborhood. 4 years later, it moved downtown. Since 1956, the Shannon Rovers have led the Chicago St. Patrick's Day Parade every single year. In 1980, they led the Sydney, Australia St. Patrick's Day Parade, flew home across the world, and led Chicago's parade within 24 hours. They have returned to Ireland again and again, competing at the Fleadh, placing first, second, and third, proving that the music born in Ireland could travel across an ocean and come home stronger. They played at the White House, at Arlington National Cemetery for Maureen O'Hara's funeral, at memorials after September 11th, for presidents, for firefighters, for children, for the grieving, and at more than 1,000 funerals, Tommy Ryan himself stood and played Danny Boy. When he died at 97, there was no question what would be played at his own funeral: the pipes. Today, more than 80 members carry that sound forward. Plumbers, teachers, doctors, first responders, generation after generation, not simply musicians, but custodians of memory. From a farmhouse in Limerick to Kilmainham jail to the streets of Chicago, the Shannon Rovers are not just a band. They are an echo of history, the heartbeat of a city, and the sound of Ireland carried proudly across an ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special message from Bobby Ryan, grandson of Tommy, on behalf of the Ryan family.